Alright, Horror Hounds, and welcome to another episode of This Just In. Today I'm going to be reviewing a movie I wanted to see in theaters when it came out, but I wasn't able to make it there, but now you can watch it on HBO Max, and that is Barbarian. So, Barbarian stars two people in this movie that were automatic sellers that I was going to watch this one regardless what people said, if it was good or bad. First person is Bill Skarsgård.
That's where they were. That's where they were.
That's the way out. That's
where they were. Come.
No, please stop it.
Go this way.
Stop it.
We have to come this way.
Tess,
We have to come this way. Someone stop.
He played Pennywise, and I'll watch it just to see a different portrayal of a character from him. I wanted to see what he does, or maybe he's not the bad guy, or maybe he is the bad guy. We know how he is in it. He plays Pennywise pretty good. And then my number two, which is actually the number one reason why I would watch this movie, is underrated Justin Long. Don't know what it is, but every time he pops up in a movie, I think he's fantastic. I like him in Dodgeball, Accepted, the first Jeepers Creepers movie he plays great in, Tusk, and now we get to see him in another horror movie, and I just assume that he would be doing a great job. So, Barbarian, if you haven't seen it yet, I would say, once I say we're getting to the spoilers or something like that, turn this off and go watch it on HBO Max. It's a movie that you want to go in blind. You don't want to know anything about this movie when you go in so that you can see what kind of movie this is. Because the trailer, for once, doesn't give anything away. I know I couldn't help myself when I watched this trailer. And when I watched the trailer and I watched the movie, I was glad the trailer showed me nothing about what the movie is in a nutshell. But the overall story is, you got this girl, it's late at night, she pulls up to an Airbnb, she can't seem to get in, the key's missing, guy opens the door, turns out that the person who was renting the Airbnb out accidentally booked two people there. And then these two people end up staying the night in the house, and weird shit might happen. And that's all you find out. So, if you haven't seen it, I'd say go watch it. If I'm going to give any ins ahead of time before we get any spoilers, I'm going to say an in for me was the acting. I thought all the acting in this movie was great. The storyline was good. And the portrayal of character, for the most part in this movie, we don't get dumb characters. We get smart characters who do smart decisions. And that's kind of a breath of fresh air when it comes to horror. Also, we get some good scares. And we do get some twists and turns that you wouldn't expect, or maybe some things that might make you feel a little uneasy at times. And the only negative I think I had on the movie was there was too much hype for me going into it. So I wanted to see it. Justin Long was in it. Bill Skarsgård was in it. I'm already sold. And then when it came out, everybody was raving, this is the movie of the year. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And I had very high expectations, and I was a little bit let down. Not saying it's a bad movie. It's still a good movie, maybe even a great movie. I'm just saying it's not a 5 out of 5 for me. But I'll do my rating now, and then we'll get into spoilers afterwards. So my rating on this movie is a 4 out of 5. I do think it is a very good film. I do think it's a breath of fresh air compared to what we normally get. And it doesn't tell you what's going to happen. It's not telegraphing anything to you, and you do get some holy shit moments here and there, and that you're just like, oh wow, I didn't expect that. And that's nice. We don't have a tried and true formula that we have to follow and see every time. But, all right. That's everything I'm going to say before spoilers. So if you want, go watch the movie and then come back to this video so you can hear my talk on the spoilers. Which, even with the spoilers, I'm not going to go into too much detail, because if you're going to see the movie, you're going to see the movie, and everybody's going to have their own thoughts on it. So, spoiler warning. All right. So, as we find out, the main character is the girl who comes to the Airbnb house, and she is reluctant to come in the house. It's a bad neighborhood. Bill Skarsgård said he doesn't want her to stay there. He'll even let her sleep in the room and lock the door. He's going to sleep on the couch. And he seems like a gentleman. He does. They seem to have a lot of things in common. They kind of hit it off. Kind of some sparks flying there, which is good. That's good. They had some sparks. But somehow she wakes up with her door open. Somehow she gets trapped down in the basement, and she finds like a rope, and she pulls on the rope, and it opens up a door in this basement to a tunnel. And when she goes down the tunnel, she sees a room with a bed and a camcorder, and it's just like a nasty ass fucking disgusting room where people probably got raped and murdered and everything else. That's just what it looks like if you've ever seen a movie. You've seen rape and murder rooms in a movie? That's this room. So she runs and gets Bill Skarsgård. He goes down to check it out. He's not back in a certain amount of time, so then she's going to check on him. The Barbarian comes out and smashes his head up against the wall and kills him. And if you've seen this movie, you know what the Barbarian is. It's about a 7-foot tall, naked woman with saggy titties flying everywhere and not an ounce of clothing on her. And she is a monstrosity. She's deformed looking at everything else.
He likes to nurse.
And that girl then gets chased, and we see her just kind of goes to black. Then we meet Justin Long. And Justin Long plays an asshole. So he's a big hotshot TV star, gets accused of raping a girl, says she's lying, she's full of shit. He loses his job. He has to go back to the house because he's the owner of the Airbnb, and he's just looking to sell property to try to stay afloat for him to be able to pay for lawyers to get him out of this trouble. But what ends up happening when he's there? He sees people's stuff left behind, doesn't know why. He makes it down the basement. Turns out that, hey, look at this room down, look at this hallway down here. Goes down the hallway, sees that room, goes upstairs, checks on his phone. Can you use underground rooms for square footage? Turns out you can bullshit your way through if you want to. Well, he's in shit trouble and he needs some money, so he's going to bullshit his way through. So he's measuring the rooms, he's measuring those hallways, and he just keeps going, and these tunnels keep going and going and going. And he eventually sees a room that's empty with a TV on showing a woman breastfeeding. Oddly enough, he's still measuring all these rooms. He wants to know how much space he has down there. And he ends up getting chased by this creature, and he falls down into a cage. And here's where we get our gross out, disturbing scene for most people, and that's where she's trying to feed them milk through the world's biggest bottle and nipple that's covered in extremely a lot of hair. I'm guessing it's supposed to look like pubic hair, just to make it a little bit more grosser. And he refuses, and the girl's like, no, you gotta drink it. And she's sitting there sucking on this bottle. Justin Long still won't do it. But eventually, she ends up beating the shit out of Justin Long a little bit and takes him down in that breastfeeding room because she's gonna feed me old milk straight from the nipple. And that allows the girl to escape. And when the inbred character sees that, she goes chasing after the girl, but the girl does get out in the nick of time. So we do get one flashback scene here, and we see that there's a guy, and what he's been doing is he follows women, and he steals them. He was bringing them down there. He was videotaping himself, raping them, beating them, murdering them, and he has all these tapes of this stuff. But what he was doing was he was sleeping with them, knocking the women up, having babies with those babies, and babies with those babies, and eventually you wind up with this inbred 7-foot tall behemoth beast woman. And her story is like, yeah, she's the bad guy, but there's also a spin on it that is kind of tragic because how she looks at herself as a mother, and she wants to have babies because that's all that she would know, being the life she came from. And when she collects these people, she puts them in like a cage to take care of them like they're her baby. That's what she wants. So, with that being the case, all she's trying to do is care after the ones she loves. But she's a monster. So eventually, Justin Long ends up escaping too because he goes past the guy who was doing this to people. And him and the girl are trying to find help. The woman, the behemoth woman, ends up breaking out of the house, running through the streets. She's got some super strength. She rips off a homeless guy's arm. They wind up climbing a tower, and Justin Long throws the girl, the main girl, off that tower.
She's never gonna stop. I can get away. But you're gonna have to slow her down. Hey! Come get your baby!
Head first to the ground. But that behemoth cares about that baby so much that she jumps off that tower to save that baby's life. And when Justin Long gets down there, he thinks they're both dead. But the girl coughs and gets up. Or start trying to get up, something like that. And he was like, oh, I had to. Like, I care about you. It's just, I had to do something. It was either me or you, and you're already her. And he always seems to find a way to kind of like justify his actions. Just like when he was accused of rape, he was like, well, she needed some convincing. She obviously wanted it. She needed some convincing. So he's an asshole in that sense because he's always a bad guy because he tries to justify what he's doing, but it's not always right. But eventually that mama type character gets up and squeezes his head and punches out his eyes with her fingers. And the girl then ends up blasting mama in the head. And she's walking away, and that's how the movie's going to end. So, like I said, I give this a 4 out of 5. It had a lot of good parts in it. I wish there was more gore, and I wish that there was more disgusting stuff, I guess. Because, there's a little bit of gore, but it doesn't lean heavily into the gore, and there's, a little bit of disturbing, but it doesn't lean into the disturbing. And I wish that it would have leaned a little bit more into that stuff as well, into the storytelling. But it did leave me wanting more. I was kind of surprised that the hour and 40 was over with that fast. I didn't think the movie had went by that fast, so that was a good sign. Meant I was invested and actually wanted to see what was going on. So I said, give this movie a 4. If you want, give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Put a comment down below. Tell me if you've seen Barbarian. Is it something that you're a big fan of? Or did you hate this fucking movie? I've seen people who hate this movie now. But when it first came out, everybody loved it. Hit the notification bell so you can see when the next movie review comes out. And until the next one, guys, rest in peace.